Tim Baker here with the Victim Survivor Conqueror Ministry, coming to you on this Tuesday evening on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitch TV, and Twitter. And starting next week, we will be back on Zoom starting next week. Okay? All right. If you tune in on Facebook, if you would, please hit one of the buttons. If you're on YouTube, be sure to click on the bell and subscribe to our channel. It is VSC Ministry. VSC Ministry. Okay. Down at the bottom left hand corner of your screen, you see where it says VSCMinistry.com. That is our website. You can go to our website and you can download this material along with any other material of any of the other 8 classes that we do. Okay. All right. So tonight we're starting out with how can I bury the hatchet? Okay. We're talking about reconciliation. Okay. And this will be the last week. So we may go a little longer than 30 minutes. I'm not sure, but we'll see how it goes. Okay. But so how can I bury the hatchet? How can I bury my hard feelings? How can I bury the resentment that I may have towards someone? Okay. So, burying the hatchet. First, we have to be willing to view the conflict as an opportunity for growth, instead of looking at the conflict as strictly a conflict. Why? Because we look at it as strictly a conflict, we're looking at it in a negative light. Well, we're pretty much programmed to not want to focus on the negatives in our lives, even though we do a lot. Okay, but we've got to be willing to look at this conflict as a way for growth. Next one. Burying the hatchet. We've got to be willing to learn what God wants us to learn. It's really not about us. It's not about what we want. It's about what God wants us. Be willing to discover that if you are in the midst of having a conflict with someone, a confrontation, is one person always 100% at fault for what's going on? No. So we have to be willing to look at ourselves and say, what my culpability here? What am I at fault for here? What's my hangups for the reason why we can't reconcile? Okay? And here's the thing about it. It doesn't matter what percent everybody's at fault. Okay? You may look at yourself and may think that, I'm only about 2% wrong here. So they're 90% in the wrong. He's way more wrong than I am. Okay, and that may be true, but we still need to own up to our 2%. Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what percentage that we're wrong. If we're wrong, if we are in the wrong, we are wrong. And we need to be able to deal with that. Be willing to expose our own weaknesses. Father, where am I weak? Where's my weakness in this? What am I weak at? What do I need to work on? And be willing to open up about your feelings. Okay? It's okay. It's okay to state how you feel. Okay? Be honest and be open about it. Be willing to accept negative outcome and move on in forgiveness. Okay? Is every confrontation that you is it going to turn out positive? No, it's not. Is it more likely to have a negative outcome? Probably. Probably. Why? Because we don't want to take responsibility for our part in the situation. Plain and simple. Right? Willing to pray for God's will to be done. Okay? The other party doesn't seem to want to have a communication, to have a confrontation. Well, we got to be willing to pray, for the outcome that God's will be done in this situation, and also pray for the other person. Pray for the person that is not really willing, a willing participant. Let the peace of Messiah rule in your hearts. Since as members of one body, you were called to be at peace and be thankful. Colossians chapter 3, verse 15. Know that refusal to seek reconciliation affects the intimacy of your fellowship with God and with others. Okay? When you refuse to even seek and try to have reconciliation, that can interfere with our fellowship with God. Okay? So we need to be able to be humble and to pray, Lord, I don't want to be proud and unbending. Lord, I want your favor on my life, not your disfavor. Okay? Who wants God's favor and not his disfavor? Me. Lord, I want to reflect your character and be open to reconciliation. Seek forgiveness and apologize for words that hurt the other person. Be Corey. In other words, be willing to reconcile. Okay? I've tried to see our relationship from your point of view. How important is that? Very, isn't it? Yeah. I realize that I've been wrong in my attitude of blank. Okay? So when you realize what you've been wrong about, we need to admit it. We need to speak it. Why? It makes it real. Would you be willing to forgive me? Recognize the ground rules of communication. Offer unconditional acceptance. Confront the problem, not the person. Okay? Don't make your confrontation personal towards the other person. Okay? Stick with the issue at hand. Okay? Listen without interrupting. Okay? We have to understand that in communication, we need to use our ears, our eyes, and our mouth. Okay? Verbalize feelings. Okay? Verbalize your feelings. Verbalize their feelings back to them. Okay? Oh, okay. So you felt hurt because of this. Okay? Use words that build self-worth. Okay? Don't use words that tear people down. Aim for a mutual understanding. Give more than you take. Okay? Be willing to give in. Be willing to give forgiveness, to give an apology. Be kind and gentle, trusting to work in the heart of the other person. Don't put them in cement. Well, you'll never change. Okay, maybe others haven't changed, but that doesn't mean that they cannot change. Okay? Don't harbor resentment. Get rid of that bitter root that's growing up inside of you. Don't make excuses for yourself. Don't get drawn into arguments. If the other person starts in an argumentative way, step out of it. Retreat. Don't fail to pray. Don't have expectations of immediate acceptance. Okay? You may go to a person and you may say, hey, and you may tell them, hey, listen, I'm sorry for this. I apologize. I wish you would forgive me. And you know what? It may not, the immediate acceptance may not happen right then. Okay? Or acceptance in general may not happen till sometime down the road, or, maybe they go home and they pick up everything that was said and they come to, hey, I understand what they were saying now. Okay? So don't, it's going to just because you have a confrontation and just because you do it God's way doesn't mean it's going to be immediately accepted. Okay? Reflect the character of Messiah in all that you do. Man, this needs to be our prayer every day when we wake up. God, please let me reflect the character of Christ. In order to prepare your heart to reflect the character of Christ, pray, Lord, I die to my personal rights. die to having to defend myself. Lord, I die to relying on my own abilities. Then he lists, if it doesn't go good, then he lists a mediator if necessary. Okay? Pray for God to prepare the heart of your offender for mediation, and also your heart, and also the mediator's heart. Okay? Don't just stop with the other person. Be in prayer for yourself. Be in prayer for the mediator. Okay? Seek a person whom your offender can respect. Okay? If you're going into a mediation, do not take your best friend. Okay? They may be able to judge correctly, but your offender will not respect that decision. Okay? Get someone that you both can agree upon and that you both respect. Say to an outside person can have a different perspective that is objective. Okay, so you tell the other person, hey, listen, let's get a mediator. Would you be okay with that? Because they might have a different perspective than what me and you have, and maybe we can come to an understanding. Okay? Would you be willing to consider a mediator to help us think through our problems with the hope of achieving reconciliation? Do not hold yourself responsible. You cannot force reconciliation to occur. We need to understand that. We're not going to force somebody to do what we want them to do. Okay? When reconciliation is refused, don't live with false guilt. Okay? Well, I don't know. I don't know what I've done wrong. I must have done something wrong. I must have this. I must have that. I must have this. I must have that. No. Okay? Father, they did not accept the offer of reconciliation. Father, I've done things the way you want me to do it. I've done it your way. So, Father, it's in your hands. It's out of my hands. Okay? Then we can live in knowing without carrying false guilt around in our life constantly. Okay? Reconciliation will not go with it. Okay? If you go into a confrontation, a reconciliation aspect, and nothing really happened, don't think of it as it was a waste. Okay, this is the same. This is basically the same principle as telling someone about the plan of salvation. Okay, when we tell the plan of salvation, we may just be planting seed. Okay, seed gets planted into good soil. What happens? It's somebody else comes by and starts watering that plant. We don't get to water it. Somebody else does. Okay? So here's the thing about it is, if you do everything the right way and you do things God's way, we don't know that maybe down the road that this will help the other person to be about differences, to work out a confrontation, to be able to work out and to achieve reconciliation with somebody else. It may not be with us, okay? But it's not wasted. Continue to show love and treat the other person with forgiveness. Okay? Well, I'm not going to talk to them no more. But if I see them, I'm just going to turn my nose up. I'm just going to look the other way. No, that's not that Jesus taught us to be. No. Show them love. Treat them with kindness. Offer continuous. Thank God for giving you the desire to be at peace with everyone. Okay? We're only responsible for ourselves. We're not responsible for how the other person responds, how they react. We're only responsible for ourselves, and that's it. Praise God for his commitment to orchestrate your own spiritual growth. Yes. If we learn how to do confrontation the right way, to do it God's way, to do biblical confrontation, you know what? The first time we do it, it's going to be hard. Okay? No doubt about it. But what about the next time? The time after that? What you're going to see is it gets easier to do over time. Okay? So it's not wasted. So we're at the end. That's what I thought. Whoa, wait a minute. I didn't mean to go right there. Hold on, I'll be. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. Okay. So let's just kind of recap and everything. We're getting close to the 30 minutes, and we're going to be closing it up here in a few minutes. But you know what gets me, what is hard sometimes, and it gets frustrating, is scrolling through Facebook. You'll see somebody post something about, well, uh, and they may not say the person's name out, you know, may not actually say the person or whatever, but you can tell by the post that they got a relationship that's broken. And what we need to understand is this: is that this concept is not new. The concept of confrontation, of reconciliation, is not new. Matter of fact, confrontation is one of the very first things that we see in the Bible in Genesis chapter 3. When Adam and Eve had partaken of the forbidden fruit, they're hiding because they realized they're naked. They were embarrassed. And here comes God walking through the cool of the day, to commune with Adam and Eve both. And he can't find them because they're hiding. They're ashamed. They're carrying guilt. But here's the thing about it is we need to take the lesson that God gave us in Genesis chapter 3 in asking questions to try to understand what has taken place. Okay? Now, God knew what took place. God knew exactly the sequence of events. Okay? He didn't need to ask. So, was that him asking the questions? Was that for God's benefit? No. Was it for Adam and Eve's benefit? Yes. Was it for our benefit? Absolutely. Okay? If you don't understand, if you're not sure about the situation, don't assume that you know exactly what's going on or what the answer is. Because we all know the old saying about when you assume. Okay? That's where questions, probing questions come in, and that's what God done. He asked questions. How do you know you're naked? Did you eat of the fruit that I told you not to? You know, there's a reason why, Adam, I told you not to eat it. Okay? Ask questions. Clarify the situation. Okay? And that will make your reconciliations so much easier to achieve. Okay? And again, just because it doesn't work out right away doesn't mean it was wasted. It doesn't mean that was no use. Okay? Because here's the thing about it is if we do if we do the confrontation biblically, just out of Matthew, if we do it God's way, there will be a change take place. Okay? Now, does that mean it's going to be the offender, the person who offended us? Does that mean they will change? Not necessarily. But if we go into that confrontation and we confront them biblically, the way God designed it, the way He taught us, the way He commanded us to do, then we can walk away, even though it doesn't turn out the way we wanted. You know, that there is no reconciliation, there's no restoration of a relationship. But if I can look deep in my heart and I can say, God, I've done everything that I was supposed to do, that you commanded me to do, then we've got to be okay with that. That, hey, I've done what God told me to do. I've done it God's way. And if it didn't turn out the way we had hoped, that's on the other person. They're responsible for themselves. Okay? And we're only responsible for how we act, how we react, how we respond. And that's it. Okay? All right. So this concludes our study for reconciliation. Okay? So next Tuesday night, 7 p.m., we will start in childhood sexual abuse. Okay? Um, just to kind of give you a heads up about this study coming up. Um, we do not, I do not shy away from topics. Okay. Um, we get into some very detailed uh, information, uh, but we are not. It is not vulgar in any way. It is all based biblically, and it all looks toward the process of healing, of trying to find our peace, to finally have peace in our life. Okay? So be sure and join us. Be here next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. On Facebook Live, Twitch TV, YouTube, and also Zoom. We'll be resuming Zoom next week. Okay? So be looking for that coming up next week. And I just want to say a big thank you to the people over the last couple of months that has responded to our ministry and have liked our ministry. We are approaching 2,500 likes. We were stuck on 200 and 300 likes for 2 or 3 years, and it's starting to take off, and we appreciate it. We hope that you're getting something out of this. That you're learning some life skills to go along with understanding these topics that we do. Remember, you can go to our website, vscministry.com, okay? And you can go to study materials, and you can download the childhood sexual abuse section. There's a manual, and then there's also a workbook in the back, okay? And what it is just questions that you answer after you've gone through the material, okay? All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless and have a great rest of your week.